But speaking of the showgirls of superhero movies, I think we're ready to move on to
Yeah.
Curse You for coming out on a Wednesday. Otherwise, I would never have gone to see this thing.
Yeah.
This is my attempt at being topical. And honestly, okay, so there's a level where Thursday night is very convenient for our schedules. But
hmm
on the flip side, it makes it slightly difficult to uh, review movies when people are still talking about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know what? Wednesday release. This sounds fascinatingly bad. Let I'll jump on this grenade and go out for a night.
Yeah.
So Madam Web is based on a Spider-Man character that has had really two bouts of prominence of any sort. One was in a Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man storyline from the '80s,
hmm
and the other one was from the '90s cartoon. She has probably appeared periodically since then, but they weren't really in any comics I was reading.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of heard awful things about this movie, but I went in thinking, okay, I've seen the trailers. There's Madam Web herself, played by Dakota Johnson, and then we have three Spider Women. Okay, I see where this is going. This is like the best case scenario for this is that it's like a Charlie's Angels esque uh, dumb fun movie.
Yeah.
Ninja asked, "Where's the bait and switch?" Oh, what a bait and switch it is!
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and only Ninja nails it down. This is a character who is a mysterious mentor with psychic powers, who's has probably because of her psychic powers has diseases that leave her uh, bedridden. But she like sits on this cybernetic chair that has like a spider design on it, and that's why she's Madam Web because she can see the threads of causality in time and space or whatever.
Okay.
Actually, not a bad character.
Hmm.
Don't know what the hell this character is supposed to be though. So I want to give my quick non-spoiler thoughts because I'm going to go give this movie a good beating.
Okay.
Uh, I will say that whatever I'm about to say, this is so much better to watch than Morbius
Okay.
because the thing about Madam Web is that it is a fascinating movie. Like it is like The Room, it is like Showgirls, it is like Cats, where it's just so misguided on every level. And it's fascinating to watch this and just how screwed up it is.
Yeah.
Well, Ninja says, I thought it was going to be some sort of psychological thriller-esque film. It might have delusions of being that at times, but what it really is, it is a prequel to a movie series that is never going to happen.
Ah.
All right, so backstory. Since I believe Amy Pascal at Sony had a dream.
Yeah.
Her dream was to make female centric movies in genres that were traditionally male dominated. One of the fruits of this labor was the 2016 Ghostbusters. But
Mhm.
because of Sony's weird rights that it has over Spider-Man,
Mm.
uh, it has it has the rights to Spider-Man and Spider-Man derived characters. Like while Marvel appeared at the start of this movie briefly, Marvel really had nothing to do with this. Uh, and so they went through the rogues gallery and supporting cast of Spider-Man to try to come up with a female character that you could use uh, to ground a movie like this.
Yeah.
And they chose wrong. At least the way that I believe that the name this thing was even called Project Glass Ceiling at one point.
Oh, jeez.
So we've defined woke before as it isn't like having a female main character is not woke. Having a black or a gay or whatever main character is not woke. Wokeness is where you go in with the idea that you're overly concerned with the character's identity and you start with that before you actually have a premise, and
Yeah.
that shows so strongly here because
Uh,
this is the origin story for Madam Web. Uh, and I am bemused by this movie. Like it's harmless, even though it disgraces one of my favorite Spider-Man supporting characters from the 2000s. But we'll get into that.
yeah.
Okay, so the movie's first 2 minutes are astounding in terms of like it feels like the episode of a TV show compressed into 2 minutes.
Oh. Jeez.
Because the things you have to find out are um, Madam Web, whose name is Cassandra Webb, I believe.
Okay.
So Cassandra's mother goes to the Amazon to hunt down a rare spider.
Okay.
And while she's down there, she is very heavily pregnant. There is a guy named Ezekiel who is, I guess he's either funding her operation or protecting her, but he wants to find this special spider because this spider's venom has special peptides. That's what they use, peptides. That's not even a peptide flavored cake like Star Trek. It's just peptides.
Peptides.
uh, that's a deep cut reference for you. But
Yeah.
but so you have these peptides that and that will make you super strong. And there's these Las Arañas who run around the Amazon and stop bad people. And this spider is supposedly the origin of this legendary strength.
Hmm.
So you cut to this guy named Ezekiel, who is a character from the J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man run, and he's the guy providing protection. Um,
Okay.
by the way, this is the run that infamously ended in one more day. I do not blame him for that. I blame him partially for the whole stupid Gwen Stacy was dating Norman Osborn retcon,
Yeah.
but I don't blame him for that because that was so clearly editorial mandate.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, Ninja guessed right. Yeah.
Yep, Ezekiel from the JMS run. Yep. So Ezekiel is, he's poking around the cabin while the heavily pregnant mother is out alone for whatever reason. He's taking microfilm pictures of her diary that has all of her notes on the spider, even though presumably if he's working for her, like he would have access to them freely if he asked.
Yeah.
Ezekiel is just needlessly cruel at all times. Case in point, she comes back into camp with the spider in a jar, and Ezekiel responds. Ezekiel responds by just opening fire on everybody in the camp, including shooting the mom.
Oh God.
And then a character that people have described as Spider Jesus comes out of the woodwork and takes her to this magical cave, helps her give birth, and says, "Oh, your daughter will return when she's looking for answers."
Oh. Jeez.
And Ninja said, Ninja, I will defend the J. Michael Straczynski run. I'm partially biased towards it because it's what brought me back into comics for a period during the 2000s. It's basically when I got my first job and would go over to Barnes and Noble and see that they had these graphic or these collections for sale. And there are things that you can really criticize the JMS run for, but I think there were a lot of cool ideas, including the one that they botched for this movie.
Oh.
So you cut to the present day, and Cassandra she's like diet Jessica Jones.
Oh boy.
Uh, it is. I have seen people alternately like some people have interpreted her as just being completely socially inept. I was kind of interpreting her more as very self entitled or not self entitled, like very self involved because she came out of the foster system and she was just like very selfish, which makes it strange that she decided to become a paramedic.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so any bit of dialogue I don't remember a lot of the dialogue line for line, but I can say it is the most ham-fisted expository dialogue ever. Like every character in every scene, they're basically reading their character bio or they're saying obvious things or it is just awful. Just awful.
Ooh. Yeah.
They're saying the subtext out loud in every scene. And every setup has a painfully obvious stupid payoff.
Oh man.
So, but and also Cassandra's buddy. Hey, did you know that Uncle Ben was a paramedic? I certainly didn't.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and Uncle Ben is played by. Let's see here. Who plays?
I always thought Uncle Ben was a blue collar worker.
Yeah, he usually is.
Yeah.
That. Okay, it's Adam Scott from Parks and Recreation.
Oh, okay. I know that guy.
Yeah, he played Ben.
Okay.
Uh, he tries.
Yeah.
He isn't given much, but he tries. He's still charming, much more, and it almost embarrasses Cassie's actress with how
Uh,
charming he is.
yeah, that's yeah, her it's uh Dakota Johnson, I think
Dakota
it is.
Johnson. Yep.
Yeah.
And so you have a day in her life where she runs into the three women who are going to become these Spider Women
Mm,
in theory.
yeah.
So she has a near life incident or near death incident that triggers her spider powers, and where her power is that she has the ability to see the future before it happens. And at first, she thinks she can't do anything because they're at a site where there's been an industrial accident.
Yeah.
And there's like what's funny is that at the time I thought that's weird that you didn't bring that up, but this is one of their stupid Chekhov's guns where they're dealing with like a fire/accident, and there's this factory that's full of old fireworks,
Oh,
and you'd think that okay, is the factory about to go off? No, they saved that for the final act.
oh jeez.
Uh, but she has this vision of one of her work friends dying, and she doesn't quite understand what's going on, but she runs over and tells you, no, don't get in that car. Something bad's going to happen. I feel like, hey, girl, relax. It'll all be okay.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to drive away, and he gets T-boned by a truck because the idiot didn't stop at a four-way stop and didn't look left.
Oh,
That's all I can conclude.
oh jeez.
Like if he had just looked and seen this huge truck barreling down at him, he wouldn't have needed psychic powers to try and fail to save him.
Yeah.
You all, and so she figures out slowly that she has the ability to tell the future because she sees a vision of a pigeon flying into her window while she's watching the tail end of A Christmas Carol, where Ebenezer Scrooge is saying, "Oh, tell me, spirit, can't this be changed?
Yeah.
Is this shades of what is or what could be?" It's like subtle.
Yeah.
And so she figures out because she's able to open the window, I can save people, which
Oh, jeez.
sidebar. This is also they're very strangely coy about Ben Parker being Uncle Ben, even though it's obvious.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, it's like, oh, I met this girl, and things are getting kind of serious. Or no, I met this girl. Oh, another one. Haha. What's her name? And then there's awkward silence for about 30 seconds, and she goes, "Oh, you're serious?" Or "Oh, it's serious." Like,
It's Aunt May.
clearly has to be Aunt May.
Yeah.
And you meet the pregnant mother of Spider-Man. Like, oh, Richard Parker's off there somewhere. I don't know where. Because he's a spy. And
Ah,
then, see, one of the things about this movie is that, from what I heard, it was originally supposed to be a '90s period piece, but they screwed things up badly enough they had to make it a 2000s period piece instead.
oh, gee.
Because there's a lot of technology that they kind of rely on, uh, like a 2000s tech level to happen.
Like cell phones. Yeah.
Yeah, like specifically, like I think one of the girls has a flip phone that she taught, like that Cassie tosses out to keep people from tracking them.
Okay.
Um, and so I don't want to have to go through every aspect of this plot, but basically, you find out that Ezekiel is so Ezekiel runs into a woman at the opera, and he proceeds to seduce her, and he has a nightmare where and he looks like much older. He has gray hair, and he is being killed by these three women in spider outfits, who we are introduced to briefly as teenagers.
Okay.
And he comes out of it and he goes, "Oh, every night." He's talking to this woman he just met at the opera in Boint.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's like? Uh, every night I go to sleep and I have the same vision of three women with spider powers who come and kill me. And I'll do anything I can to make this stop from happening. We're basically at that level of dialogue. Also, my understanding is that the actor is French, and so he has the lip dubbing of a of a kung fu movie.
Oh, jeez.
Like he never looks. Usually, when they have him speaking, he's speaking off camera, or they're doing things to not have to show his lips there. But I kept noticing that he was out of sync.
Oh, yeah. So like like a bad kung fu movie or a really bad Italian horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, but the woman he's betting just happens to be a member of the NSA, and she brought her codes and phone that she uses to access these things with her. So he kills her and suddenly has access to the secret NSA wiretapping. And now he only knows what these girls look like in his visions, but somehow he's able to get accurate pictures of them into this computer. It's not explained how. It's not even like they're drawings. They're just the pictures from his memory. They just don't explain it.
Oh, okay.
And so they
Wow.
use this to track down. By coincidence, all three of these girls are at the same bus station,
Ugh, of course.
or it's gonna be train station. And that's also where Cass is.
Hmm.
So Cass has a vision of a guy in a knockoff evil Spider-Man costume, which is Ezekiel showing up to and killing these three girls. And so the rest of the movie is her playing keep away with Ezekiel until
Hmm.
and there's so much stupid here. Like it just nothing works.
Yeah.
Like like she ends up going back to okay, so she takes these three girls away. They steal a cab to get away.
Yeah.
She later runs this cab into Ezekiel, and he is apparently none the worse for wear, but it does distract them long enough to let them get away again.
Mm.
The reason that Ezekiel found them is because these three idiot girls decided to, well, okay, you know what? Gonna be fair here. Cass took them into the woods because it's like she knew that they were being followed by NSA level surveillance, even though she would have had no concept of that in 2003.
Yeah.
And she just left these three girls in the woods with no supplies for hours on end while she went back to try to get her mom's notebook because she realized, like, one of the girls said, when he was crawling across the ceiling, it was like a spider. And so she makes the connection with her mom's research.
Jeez.
It's funny that she still has that because you would have thought that if Ezekiel was stealing everything anyway, why didn't he just take the notebook? Yeah, you have the microfilm for it. Just take it.
Yeah.
It goes without saying, but the spider that bit him gave him the powers.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, so so these three girls logically, after standing around for a bit, like with this crazy lady who, yeah, did save their life from a weird Spider-Man, they decided to go over to a diner they saw because they're starving and alone in the woods. Uh, and so Ezekiel's able to find them because someone calls in a 911 report. Oh, I found those kidnapped girls. So then Cassie slams a van into, or slams a cab into him through the wall of the diner
Okay.
because she has this is what they had in the trailer was she has a vision of him killing them in the diner and her failing to stop him. So she just decides, you know what, I'm not going to go in there and fight hand to hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is probably the most interesting fight scene in the movie.
That's why they put it in the trailer.
Yep. And so then Cassie, after a forced bonding moment with these three girls, so I'm not. There is the rich, obnoxious black girl. There's the nerdy Um, Redhead, played by Sydney Sweeney,
Mm.
who, no, you don't really, yeah, everyone's like, oh, is Sydney Sweeney show any cleavage? No.
Mm.
Uh, and then you have the science girl whose dad was deported because he was an illegal immigrant. So
Mm.
they're all basically alone in their own ways.
Yeah.
Uh, but they have a bonding moment where she teaches them CPR because, oh, well, this Ezekiel guy has this poison power, and so you can use this to keep the heart going and keep them alive, which doesn't really make sense for a neurotoxin, but
Yeah.
that is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And then she leaves them with Uncle Ben to fly to Peru.
Jeez. D
Uh,
Rhino. Ugh.
yeah, that's accurate. And Holy Ninja says, so Spider-Man is not the first spider person in this universe. That is consistent with that 2000s JMS run, which is one of the flaws of it.
Mm.
Yeah, of course they. Yeah, and he also says, of course they made Anya the illegal immigrant. Yeah. All right. So yeah, she flies to Peru after making such a big deal that I'm here for you. I'm going to Peru.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still look for answers, and she runs into Spider Jesus, who tells her that, oh, you weren't given super strength. Sorry, but you do have the ability. When you can see the threads, you can go everywhere. And she finds out that, oh, her mom wasn't an irresponsible jerk for going down to the Peruvian jungle when she was pregnant. She was there to get this spider cure because she was going to be born with a birth defect, and she wanted to give her a chance at life.
Uh, mm.
Blah 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 blah.
Yes.
They go back to New York, and coincidentally, as she gets back, Ezekiel makes his play at the three girls because Peter Parker's mother starts going into labor, and so they have to go to the hospital with her. Never mind that if you're trying to keep these three girls safe, why the hell are they in the car with you? You're a paramedic, Uncle Ben. You can handle this yourself.
Yeah.
And so Ezekiel finds them and attacks. And in another scene, Cassie has stolen an ambulance and proceeds to crash through a cement barrier into Ezekiel, and he's okay.
Yeah.
When he really should be paced. Like by any Spider-Man logic, he should be paced.
Yeah.
But they get back to that fireworks factory from the earlier scene because
You
her
come
idea
back
is,
to the fireworks
yeah,
factory.
unlike The Simpsons, they actually got to the fireworks factory.
Yeah.
And her brilliant plan is she basically knows when Ezekiel is going to arrive. So take a bunch of road flares from the now destroyed or from the now ruined ambulance, and they take these road flares and they throw them in the crates of firecrackers,
Okay.
which coincidentally explode at the right moment to frustrate Ezekiel's attempts to kill them.
Of course.
And one of them flies over their heads, like it's like a Roman candle type thing, flies over their heads and breaks down a brick wall so they can escape from the fiery inferno.
As you would. Yeah.
As,
As you would.
right, that's realistically how that would work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then they have to run on top of the fireworks factory because by the way, she called in helicopter support for airlift. These two people die
Oh,
because Ezekiel, because I think one of the fireworks hits them or something.
yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, fireworks don't work like that. No.
Nope.
um, but and this is where I had a moment of it. Like Ezekiel keeps tanking, having large vehicles driven to him at high speed without any sign of injury. But one of the letters from the top of the fireworks factory falls on top of him, and that's enough to kill him.
What?
Yeah, the power scaling is effed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Holland asks, how much authority does she have to call in a helicopter? Enough, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I actually wondered. Nobody's really questioning this. I guess it's one of. I guess when you're asking for helicopter, helicopter medevac, they take a well, you better fill out all your paperwork properly approach.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But in the course of things, she ends up getting blinded and paralyzed, and so she becomes comic book accurate Madam Web. Now, you will notice something I did not mention. I did not mention a scene where the three Spider Girls uh, get spider powers.
Yes, I was wondering about that.
That is because every scene from the trailer showing the other Spider Woman was her visions of the future. Yes, this is a huge prequel to what someone pointed out is a huge Spider Woman Birds of Prey knockoff with Madam Web acting as Oracle.
Oh, for the love of God.
So yeah, there's no indication of why these three get spider powers. The crazy thing is, okay, so Sydney Sweeney's character is very much the second Spider Woman, the one with the red hair and the like psychic webs. It's like,
Yeah.
and she actually looks like the part. And when they have the flash forwards of, they have the flash forwards of, or the visions of Ezekiel fighting with her.
Yeah.
Like she looks mostly comic book accurate.
Yeah.
Um, the weird thing is that the black rich girl, is the one who has kind of the iron spider costume with like the mechanical legs. But that
Mm.
feels like that should be more the science girls thing, if you're being
Eh,
consistent at all.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no indication. Yeah, there's no indication that excuse me.
That's
There's
right.
no indication of how these three ever actually become Spider Women. It's very odd.
Mm. And then just going into comic book rage.
Yeah, comedic rage. Yeah,
Comedic rage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So here's the thing: is that they had a story here that they could have very easily told with these characters. Um, so actually, you know what? I actually there weren't that many people in the theater with me yesterday. Shock.
Yeah. 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 That was actually going to be one of my questions: is how many people
Uh,
were in the theater with you?
So it was a 4 o'clock. It was a 4:10 showing on a Wednesday night for Valentine's Day. There were 10 people there, counting me.
Okay.
But I was far away from everybody, so I pulled out my phone and started taking notes.
Yeah.
It's here. So yeah, Ezekiel's actor might be the worst acting I have seen in a movie in ages.
Ooh.
Dakota Johnson as Madam Web is giving him competition, but
Yeah.
because of the whole dubbing thing, he comes off as so wooden in every scene.
Oh. Man.
Um, let's see, I mentioned the fireworks factory. Uh, she steals that cab, and she continues to drive this cab for a chunk of the rest of the movie. This includes, at some point, getting to the airport and presumably leaving it in the parking garage, where somebody would notice, huh, who would leave a cab where the plates have been mysteriously removed here
Yeah.
for like check it in for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Most of the other girls are insufferable. I will say that Sydney's character is probably the most likable because she's kind of the quiet, awkward nerd.
Mm,
Um, the rich girl is the worst of them because she is just spoiled and obnoxious in all scenes.
yeah.
Um, Anya is just kind of a nothing.
Mm,
Um, yeah, she got to and from Peru way too fast with no sense of how long the travel went, and she just took a bus up into where she guessed that her mom was based on photos that were in the journal. And
okay.
it's a shame that or I should say, it's a good thing for her that the Amazon rainforest isn't a big place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so get back. Okay, so final verdict on the movie. They actually made awful movie, and I actually enjoyed myself in a weird sense because not a single thing works here. It was mostly shot on blue screens. The actors and actresses are always just look kind of lost in what they're doing. Um, the performances are wooden. Again, like Sydney Sweeney, I think is the one who is trying the most, and
Mm,
also Adam Scott as Uncle Ben seems to be trying to make something out of this.
yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Um, the action is is completely implausible and not in a fun way.
mm,
But again, it was almost fun to watch because I can't think of a movie I've seen that botched every single element so badly outside of things like The Room.
Wow.
And it's and like again, like Morbius was a better movie than this. But Morbius is objectively a better movie than this. But I had a much better time watching this just because I was like, okay, film, let's see what else you can screw up.
Yeah.
Now the sad thing here is that they actually had an opportunity to, if they were going to bring in Ezekiel, who I'm going to unpin this. Okay, I really like Ezekiel as a character. What
Yeah.
Ezekiel was originally was he was so the mythos that they created for the JMS run of Spider-Man
Yeah.
was the idea of what if it wasn't the radiation that gave Peter the powers, but it was the spider instead. So they bring in this whole spider totem thing, and it actually fits decently with the mythos because why are so many of Spider-Man's enemies patterned on animals? Well, because people who are fake totems resent or naturally resent and are drawn to the real thing,
Mm.
and they imply that there are other totems of other animals out there. So
Okay.
that's a potential place to generate new heroes and villains. And they have, but the villain of that initial arc is this vampire guy, basically a vampire guy named Moreland, who is like Hulk level strength, and he maintains himself by feeding on the essence of these totem people. So he comes looking for Peter.
Okay.
And Ezekiel is another guy who has like he he is another spider totem guy who kind of was trying to warn Peter about Moreland coming, but also was trying to use Peter as a distraction to keep Moreland from hunting him. So
Uh,
he's kind of a complex character,
mm.
and I really enjoyed him at the time.
Okay.
Because kind of like a trickster mentor, and he almost kind of looks like the way he was drawn. He almost kind of looked like a more roguish version of Uncle Ben. Now that I think about it.
Mm.
So that was kind of interesting too. Now that I think about it,
Mm.
and one of the little foibles he had in the comic was that the spider clinging wouldn't get through his shoes, so he was walking around barefoot whenever he would meet up with Peter and go crawl up a building,
Uh,
which they replicated here without ever explaining why he just walked around barefoot all the time. Also, where
of
he got
course.
his knockoff Spider-Man.
Uh, yeah.
But you had a story that you could have done here with pick one of these three Spider Women, make them
Yeah.
a totem, make you can have Madam Web as a mysterious, mystical figure who interacting with Ezekiel, and have Moreland show up as the enemy.
Okay. Yeah.
That would have actually gotten around the things that annoy people about the whole spider totem thing by not having Peter be directly involved in it.
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
That would be my version of how you would actually do a good version of Madam Web. By not
Yeah.
making it Madam Web, you make it Spider Woman.
Yeah. All right.
Make Sydney Sweeney's character the only Spider Woman.
Yeah.
But no, we had to have a girl gang movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and D-Ranus points out, get ready for Craven. Yeah. So after seeing this movie, which apparently had some of the same script writers as Morbius,
Oh, that explains a lot.
yeah. No, you know what? I think I've taken my hit for the movie or hit for the team on this one for the year.
Yeah.
I am not going to go see that Raven or that Craven movie. No.
Yeah. Yes. You've sustained enough brain damage for the year.
Yep. But yeah. So in short, I would recommend people watch this, but wait for streaming.
Yeah. You don't like diverse Craven? Huh?
I don't know how Craven is diverse, but I also don't care enough to want to know.
Oh, and Ninja wants to know if I'm gonna see Craven. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Um, coward. Coward, he said right after just saying he wasn't going to do it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, this movie is worth watching just because it is again a room type experience.
Yeah. So watch it with friends and with plenty of alcohol.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And on streaming, don't pay extra. Don't pay extra for this.
yeah. Uh,
Uh, because there's a lot of logical inconsistencies that I've left out. Basically, watch 3 reviews, and everybody will have different things they're pointing out. I've noticed.
oh, yeah.